Today I'm going to be showing you guys how successful fish breeders will stack species in the same tank to increase the fry survival rate, increase actual breeding activity, reduce the maintenance in their tanks, and get more production from the tanks that they already own. And this is useful for people who have got less space or people who don't want to go for more tanks. They want to get way better at the few tanks they've already got and ramp up production that way. First off, when people think of fish stacking, they usually think about what fish are compatible with what fish. That works, but that's hobbyist thinking. Fish breeders' thinking should all be basically down to one thing. Will this species increase production if I put this species into my tank? That's it. Will it create more eggs? Will those eggs have a higher survival rate? Or will I have to do less to the tank to get the same / more out of it? All of those things can be achieved by adding species in, whether that species is designed to breed itself as well as all of the other fish that are in the tank, or whether it's not designed to breed, it's just designed to increase the breeding behavior of the fish that you've got in your tank currently. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned over all of these years that I'm gonna give you guys for free is fish tanks is all about resources. And if you're gonna add a fish species into your tank, generally that species is going to deplete resources from all of the other species. Now let's start with food. The biggest no-no is you don't want fish that are all competing for the same food in the same place at the same time. That will always lead to one species missing out, and it's not worth adding in that fish to your tank if it competes for the same food, or it competes for food at the same time, or it competes for the food in the same space as the fish that you've currently got in your tank. So already you're cutting out any fish species that is really similar in eating habits, in breeding habits, or in where it takes up space in your tank. Cut all of those out. Let me give you an example so that I'm not just talking at you. If I have guppies, for example, and I really want to increase my guppies breeding, I don't know why you would ever want to increase the breeding rate of guppies because they are like gangbusters as it is. Killifish are surface and benthic, which just means like inside the water column, and surface feeders. Because when you feed your guppies, you will also be having your killifish coming and stealing some of that food. Generally, it means it's a bad match. Let's try cory species, right? Your guppies aren't gonna eat all the food that they are being fed. And so some of that food will float down to the bottom. And because guppies have got upwards facing mouths, it's hard for them to eat off the floor, which means that food's slowly turning to waste and creating nitrates and ammonia levels in your tank that you don't want. You add a Corydoras species to that tank, all of a sudden, you've got that food that would normally be turned into waste that's gonna be eaten. That waste becomes nitrates, not ammonia, which means you may have to do less maintenance on that tank in terms of less water changing because things aren't going bad as fast in that tank. All of a sudden, you've got a good compatibility, but it doesn't really stop there. Though they may be compatible for food, they may not share the same water chemistry, for example. So a lot of these things rule other species out, but on a baseline level, on a food level, they're compatible. Next, there's space. And I'm not just talking about the swimming space. Generally, that's the first thing to rule out, like killifish and guppies generally won't do well together, but your Corydoras species on the bottom and then your guppy species up top may do relatively well together. Next, you've got to talk about breeding spaces. You've got to factor in your caves, your spawning surfaces, your plants, your fry raising territory. This is where a lot of people tend to reduce their spawning activity, so it works against them. They reduce the spawning activity without even realizing, because the breeding co-inhabitation doesn't work. For example, if you do have cories and they spawn, and cories are little tiny wriggling babies that when they finally do hatch out, unless you're manually gonna raise these fry yourself, they're gonna be zooming around the tank. Guppies love that. Guppies will see that as a snack and just totally wipe out your hard-earned cory species. Then there's the security thing that you've got to look at. I'm sure at this point in the video, you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, there is a species of fish that I want to stack with another species. Security is probably the one that goes the least noticed. Fish will stress. And because you physically can't see lower levels of stress coming out in your fish, fish will show stress and you won't be able to observe it well before they stop eating or well before they sort of start hiding in the corner because other fish are being aggressive or taking up too much space. That will stop spawning at the base, meaning that you're not sure what's going wrong, but behind the scenes, there's a massive compatibility issue. Generally, it's due to security. If you're wanting to stack your fish species, good fish breeders understand that no matter what, one of those 4 levers is going to be impacted. But if 3 out of 4 are actually being improved, maybe it's worth doing it. So what I want to stop looking at is stacking species and start stacking behaviors. And this is probably the most valuable thing you're going to hear in this entire video. Now imagine you've got a colony of bristlenoses that you really want to spawn, or they're throwing a few spawns, but maybe the dad is eating the eggs before they turn into fry, or something's going wrong. And so you're thinking to yourself, I need a compatible species. The worst thing you can do at this stage would be to add another cave-dwelling fish. Because those behaviors totally impact one another, adding a Corydoras species will increase stress because of most levers. Feed, they will eat at the same place. They generally inhabit the same level of the water column. Almost every single lever is against you in that scenario. Shrimp, on the other hand, their behaviors stack, they match, because shrimp aren't looking for caves to dwell in. They aren't even eating at the same times as your bristlenoses. Matter of factly, one of the biggest nurses in the whole hobby that people underutilize every day of the week when it comes to raising babies, raising fry from eggs to little tiny wrigglers is shrimp. Whenever I get a clutch of eggs or a bunch of live bearers that have just given birth to tiny little wrigglers in any way, I will always catch out a few shrimp, add them to the breeder box that it's in. Because shrimp will actually start eating unfertilized eggs, they will clean the eggs and aerate them as well, which reduces the instances of fungus, as well as for example, guppy fry. If you have shrimp in the bottom of that breeder box, like I have in any of these, you will feed those babies and inevitably some of the food does not get eaten. No fry will eat everything. The food basically has to land right in front of their face for them to even think about eating it. Shrimp will eat the uneaten food that your fry miss. They're not competing for the same food. They're not competing in the same space. Matter of factly, they're aiding on almost every single lever, which means bristlenoses and shrimp are a go. So whenever I'm stacking species, I always ask myself, how is this species helping my other species breed? And if there isn't a super logical answer like that shrimp answer that I just gave you, it doesn't go together. What ends up happening is the tank levels up. You get more spawns, happier fish, less nitrate fluctuations, your water levels stay really stable. Everything seems to do better. Your fry stay alive for longer. They grow bigger and healthier because there's less issues in the water. There's less uneaten food at the base of these fry tubs, etc., etc. Now, on the topic of going deep into this, some species can be notoriously difficult to spawn, right? One example is your exotic L number pleco. For example, L134, leopard frog plecos. Whenever I want these guys to breed, I will always add fish species that I'm not intending to breed, like for example, guppies. They generally inhabit the upper areas of the tanks. I never heard of dither fish before this, but any sort of surface dwelling fish added to an L number pleco tank will just cause a lack of stress. So when stress would normally build up, maybe it's hampered by 5%, who knows? 10% maybe. But what I did find is spawns from my leopard plecos. It also works with my peppermint bristlenoses and my L333s. Now this whole stacking thing, I learned a lot from, but this next piece of advice I learned so much from, and it did level me up a little bit, made me less stressed myself. Not all stress is visible. Sometimes it actually seems like everything's fine in the tank. It's silent. What happens, for example, using bristlenoses is one bristlenose in your colony will get the best cave, and one bristlenose in the colony will get access to the best feeding spot and the best mates, and you'll have one fish that does most of the legwork, is the most dominant. However, if that fish isn't producing spawns for you, all of a sudden the other fish that may be able to produce spawns don't have access to that dominant space, meaning you have other fish that are stressed and under the thumb in a way. They won't spawn. And all of a sudden, spawning reduces in your tank. And you're like, I don't know what's going on. So you change the food up. You maybe go and buy a new species. You add chemicals to the water, or you water change way more than you should be. Nothing seems to work. When in reality, it's a slight stress response because of dynamics in your tank, but everything looks normal. All of your pleco, the biggest one is hanging in the biggest cave, the next one down is hanging in the next cave down. They all have their own places, but those places aren't perfectly primed for breeding. And us as fish keepers, we don't know. We can't read the water like your fish read the water. So at this point, you're probably thinking to yourself, I've got a species in mind that I think is going to work with my species that I'm trying to breed. Maybe you're breeding rainbow fish, and your solution is to go with the bristlenose species. And it checks every box so far. Stacking bioload is the other thing to sort of be careful of. Some fish species will eat more and produce more waste than other fish species. And if your tank and your filtration doesn't have the breathing room to be able to handle that extra bioload, no matter what, you're going to be creating bad water quality and unstable water quality, creating fluctuations in your water, meaning stress for your fish. More water changes, which means your temperature fluctuations may go up and down, which means your fish just aren't having a good time overall, just because you found a good species, but the bioload issue is there. So if you've got a small tank, bristlenoses tend to be a little bit more wasteful, waste producing than other fish. Small tank with rainbows, sweet, as long as there's enough space for sort of expansion. But the moment you put bristlenoses in this, 40 liter, 60 liter tank that has already got a really good rainbow fish colony, you may be teetering on the edge of your bioload capacity. Do not stress at this stage. If you think that is an issue and you really want, your rainbow fish and bristlenose pairing, just add filtration. I use the DALUA fish and shrimp filter. That is added aeration, added chemical filtration, and added biological filtration. It just seems to do the whole filtration trifecta, and it just runs off air. So I literally just add 1 or 2 to my tank that I've already got cycling in another tank, and it just increases the vibrance, the filtration capacity, everything of the tank that you've currently got, which would otherwise be totally uninhabitable for those 2 species because of tank size. So if you've gotten to this point, you've got a good pairing that you think will work really well. Stacking those 2 species is good. Bonus points if you can get a 3rd species in there. My most profitable tank I ever owned was just a 3-foot tank, and it had 3 species stacked in it that worked perfectly. Use this if you're trying to sort of start out in the hobby, or if you've already got one of these species, stack these 3. First was blue eye lemon bristlenose. Any bristlenose will do it. That's sort of like on the more special or variant side. Blue eye lemons. And then I had yellow cherry shrimp, and they tend to work really well together. And then I added mystery snails. Those 3 species, they sell really well. They get along together. They eat at different points of the day. Bristlenoses generally eat most at night. Your shrimp will eat all points in the day, and they generally eat the things that are caught on leaves or is in the water column, as well as any uneaten food on the ground. But when a bristlenose wants dominance, if a bristlenose comes over, those shrimp are bailing instantly. Same with snails. If a bristlenose comes over, they aren't going to be competing for food. Any uneaten food that the bristlenoses do not eat, the shrimp will slowly get away at, and the snails will slowly get away at. So there was never a point where food wasn't getting eaten. So I'm curious, if you've ever stacked fish before, what species did really well in your tank and just worked really well together? They helped each other out, they ate at different times, they never competed. What were those? Let me know in the comment section. And if you've got minimal tanks and you want to know what to stack with what species, let me know what species you've got right now, and what you're wanting to keep, I'll give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down to say yay or nay. Make sure to hit the subscribe button for more videos just like this one.